team, and I think for Mad, many are still looking at them as this was the team that upset G2, this was the team that made a lot of surprises happen. Can they go on with their winning ways and have a dominant summer split?
I mean, my expectation is, if I'm Mad, I'm treating this as game one, right? Like G2, yes, it would have been great to take a win, but you kind of just get destroyed. Reset, come into this game with whatever strategies you brought into the split, and then execute how you want to against a team that you should be beating on current form. I did like what I saw from Kryze yesterday, though, on XL. I think he had a relatively good laning phase, didn't fall behind, and was able to scale up. And I wonder, with XL maybe giving a little bit more impetus towards the top lane, if Mad Lions is the team to do that against, because Orome has always been a weak side top laner. Maybe we see Kryze and Caedrel teaming up and really trying to force Orome into the dirt.
Maybe. We'll have to wait and see. I'm excited to see Kaiser back on the Rift. He was one of my favorite supports from last split. I thought he had a really standout performance, and I think his Sett in particular was something really special to watch. So I hope we do get to see him shine today. In any case, we're jumping into the draft. You can see that Azir and Aphelios will be taken off the board. So I can already hear Twitch chat is extremely happy. We will not have another Aphelios-Ezreal matchup today. Will we get to see some Kalista? Will we get to see some Varus? Still yet to be decided.
So I think it really depends on this Mad Lions ban. If Mad Lions go for the Varus ban, I think as XL, I would prefer a Kalista over an Ezreal ban.
I think Patrik's a pretty confident Kalista player.
He is, right? But yeah, I mean, you could first pick it. That is true. So Syndra's going to be the ban. XL can leave up Varus here, and the question is, do you want to get rid of Kalista? Do you want to get rid of Ezreal? Do you want to get rid of perhaps a Trundle or something strong in the jungle as well? I'm asking the question. I'm hoping they answer.
I think you've got to remember that Yuumi is also
Yuumi
really
exists,
important.
yeah.
So,
sorry. I'm a dog person, Vladimir.
Oh, the Wukong ban surprises me. So, depending on where you are in the world, depends on the priority on Wukong.
Yeah.
The perception that I've gotten from European players is that Wukong is strong, but is not a strong blind pick. So, because he still has counters in the form of, AP champions, it's not something that you can just safely pick whenever you want. So I'm surprised to see it banned in the first phase. Of course, Mad, once again, leaving the Varus open. We'll see if they seem to think that Varus isn't a problem, or if they do have a good answer to it, as they immediately lock in the Ezreal as a response, and a blind pick Orianna. I personally think this is always a gamble. I think Orianna does have counter picks. I think that without her flash, she is very susceptible to things like ganks. I think Zoe is a champion that in lane can struggle a little bit against Orianna, but later on becomes very difficult to play against. So yeah, I'm a little bit surprised. I mean, it was kind of the question marks around Mad Lions draft yesterday as well. We'll see where the rest of the draft goes with the direction that they currently have.
It kind of makes me feel like Kaiser they don't want to pick up the Yuumi early on, because Varus Yuumi isn't a great bot lane, but it's still relatively powerful. You have a lot of healing and some
That could be it. That could be that they're saying, you know what?
We don't think you're going to pick Yuumi.
If we know you're going for Varus, you won't take Yuumi away, which means we do get Ezreal Yuumi, and if we get Yuumi, that's stronger than whatever you pair up with the Varus.
But then you would pick Yuumi here instead of picking Orianna, because you might as well just lock the Yuumi in and get your mid lane up as a counter.
Not because if they assume that Yuumi's not going to be locked in by their opponents. So if they value the Orianna enough that they want to blind
that's the thing I'm wondering about, because as you say, Orianna is susceptible to some bad mid lane match.
Yeah, but it could also be that they are confident that Special doesn't have a counter pick for it. So it could be a denial from Special. It could also be something where they think Special doesn't have anything that can counter it. They could also be the Humanoid just very confident on the champion, and as I mentioned, I think that good Orianna players actually just struggle to lose any matchup because of how flexible of a lane champion she can be and how strong of a bully she is. In any case, we do have the Ezreal Yuumi that we talked about, and we can see the Sett coming out from XL. Now, Sett is a pretty flexible champion. We've been seeing him a lot in jungle medic, which caught me by surprise. I think that it can still go in support, but you got to remember that Sett did receive a bunch of nerfs recently over the past 5 patches that have happened. Very small ones. I wouldn't say that they were so big that they completely make him irrelevant, but he's definitely fallen out of favor in terms of the top lane, and we are seeing him more in that kind of just frontline tank jungle position. I think his early game ganks are weak, but obviously Sett as a champion offers a whole lot outside of the jungle as well. as we move into the bans, we can see the Gangplank has been taken off the board. Nautilus, this was something that you talked to me a lot about. Nautilus, very good pick into the Yuumi, because of how easy it is to create that interrupt, the disruption, the amount of CC that you can bring into that matchup as well. This suggests that Mad Lions are not expecting a Sett support.
You know what I really love, though? I agree with you. I don't think it's going to be Sett support, but I really love the amount of top lane bans. Because if you can get Orome onto... If you trust Kryze, if as XL you're saying, hey, we trust this guy to be a carry top lane, or at least to win his matchup, getting rid of things that you expect Orome to be comfortable on, or things that are safe in the top lane, makes a lot of sense to me. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what Kryze gets given here. The Lee Sin will be locked in for Shadow, one of his signature picks, but I would love either it to be the Sett, which is a strong laner who can have a lot of pressure, or it to be another carry top laner.
I'm debating if I prefer Lulu over Karma here.
I generally prefer Lulu because she gives you a little bit more safety as the game goes on with the Whimsy. However, Karma gives you better push in the lane. So if you're trying to just shove the Ezreal Yuumi under tower, Karma makes sense. And there is a carry top laner, a scaling top laner.
I'd pick Vladimir, though.
What are you going to counter it with? What does Orome play into this Vladimir?
That's true, because if right now Mad Lions don't have the best engage, so you're kind of thinking, oh, maybe they're looking at a Maokai, maybe something like that. What are the... looking at some of the other top lane options they could... Well, most of them are banned. I mean, you talked about it, right?
Oh, yes! Ooh. Bring out the horse!
Okay. Medic, can you remind me of the Hecarim buffs? Can you very quickly look those up? Because I know that Hecarim, he's been very prevalent in solo queue recently. I've been seeing a bunch of Hecarim jungle, and I know that he did receive some pretty valuable buffs, but I forget specifically what those were. And as a result of that, so hit me, Medic, what were they?
So on 10.6, which is what we played playoffs on, he received a buff to his ultimate where the fear duration was increased based on travel distance. But also on 10.11, his Q base damage went up.
Right.
The minion damage was reduced just a tad.
So his trading got made a lot stronger.
His trading with champions got stronger, and his ultimate is a lot stronger.
Utility as well. So that's pretty cool. I think that in the top lane, you can also... I wonder if you still run the Ignite teleport that we used to see back in the day. Either way, I'm really looking forward to this matchup. I think it can be pretty favorable for the Hecarim and a pretty easy lane that you can look to play around as well.
Well, let's see how it goes. XL versus Mad for the third game of the day. Welcome to Summoner's Rift and XL. They're up in the top lane. Here we go. It is Ignite Teleport on the Hecarim. They know he hasn't got Flash. They're going to try and do the sneaky beaky and get into this bush. Now, it's not warded. They use the Mantrad Q in a flame, that's what it's called, into the bush to see if they can spot him out. But Orome very safely walked back into his jungle and held a more defensive line with Shadow nearby. So nothing happens level 1, and we'll see if something happens later on, which it will.
Let's talk about Hecarim, because we haven't seen him top lane in Europe for a while. I'm sure stats can let us know the last time we saw him, but what's interesting about Hecarim is, as a champion, for those that have not seen him in lane before, he is speedy. Right? He runs real fast, he gains more attack damage, the more attack speed that he does have as well. And as a result of that, many top laners actually choose not to run an escape summon spell, because you can use your ultimate to get out of danger. On top of that, you can use your E to get out of danger. But he is typically, or he can be, quite the lane bully in certain matchups. I think Vladimir is one of those matchups where you can be that, because when you build stacks on your Q, the cooldown of that Q gets lower. So in extended trades where you just keep harassing them, you can actually end up getting a lot of damage down. This gets even stronger once you complete Sheen. And typically you'll see an early Trinity Force come out from the Hecarim, along with early boots, because of course movement speed is very important. We actually get a level 2 gank from Mad right now in the top lane.
I'm going to catch out Kryze before he can get that Sanguine Pool. The flash comes out, and Kryze will get himself to safety. I will say, Betty, it was June 14th last year that we last saw Hecarim in the top lane. Cabochard played it against Rogue and they lost.
Why am I not surprised that it was Cabochard's level? In any case, the level 2 gank from Shadow. Why did he do that? What does it mean? Well, one of the reasons is he wants to try and level the playing field in the top lane. by removing the flash, it naturally makes it harder for Exile if they want to try any shenanigans up towards the top side of the map, which Caedrel is now looking towards. And I love this early investment from Mad because it's all about setting up Orome for success. They want to make sure that he has a nice, safe laning phase where he can play comfortably, the lack of flash doesn't punish him, and he can get to level 3 with ease. Exile, though, or Caedrel rather, will get spotted on a wall, but then he's going to loop back around, and it looks like Orome not quite aware that this is happening. Has hit level 3 though, and will have his E to be able to run out of harm's way in the event that the gank does come through.
Look at where the wave is though. It's so difficult for Orome to approach this, and you can see Caedrel's just waiting for Orome to try and step up to one of these minions. Orome's going to try and get himself away. Stampedes, gets face breakered, and the Haymaker will be available as well. Caedrel actually looking to get some extra damage out by taking some, but won't be able to get Orome's life.
So, that is exactly what we were talking about. Yes, Orome did end up taking a lot of damage because Caedrel committed to the play, but he is, and of course, because the wave state is not optimal for him, but you can see how the Hecarim was able to disengage from that situation, and how the vision investment from Mad was all about trying to make sure that Orome could be as safe as possible. He will now be forced to burn his teleport, and with Shadow in the bot side of the map, which XL do know, a ping did just drop on top of him because of that ward you can see just above him. XL could look for a repeat gank towards the top side of the map. So I'm keeping my eyes on Caedrel right now. What direction is he going to go? Is he going to look for another top lane play? Or is he going to go back to base? Right now, he has his eyes set on the top lane. I think that's where they're going, Medic.
There's a control ward there, though. And it's, you can see immediately Kryze pinged it out. It's like, hey, he bought a control ward on the back. He's placed it here. Caedrel decides he now wants to go farm himself up. Can't, of course, spend all of his time on the top side of the map because otherwise he won't be able to get that CS that he desperately needs. Shadow is going to realize his Razor Picks have been taken away, but he still has some Krugs, so he will be fine just farming this up for the moment.
So, why is this all important? Why do I keep talking about Hecarim? What does it mean in the context of Mad Lions? Well, last split, and what Medic has been talking a lot about since we came back to the LEC, is that Mad is a bit one-dimensional in how they approach the game. It was a lot of Shadow on an aggressive jungler. Usually he tries to play through mid, they then bring their pressure to bot, or they just basically play through bot lane. But top lane was left on an island. Orome was very weak side focused. His responsibilities were not to carry the game, it was just to fill the role of what the team needed. And coming into this split, we wanted to see if they could play through Orome more, and they talked to us about saying that they want to try and enable playing through him more. So by putting him on the Hecarim, by having Carzzy and Kaiser play more of the defensive style in the bot side of the map with the Ezreal Yuumi, very difficult to dive, safe to scale up, can farm quite easily, it means that more resources can be invested into Orome and make him one of the primary carries.
It was a little interesting bit of play here because Shadow went in towards the blue buff side of XL, checked all of the camps, used the Scryer's Bloom, noticed there's nothing there, and I was thinking, oh, you know, this isn't bad, he hasn't got any jungling out, he didn't get any camps for the time he invested. But what it does do is gives Orome just that little bit more security, knowing if Caedrel's going to come over to the top side, there's no camps for him to farm. So he's more likely to be on the bottom side of the map as they look for this dive. Carzzy going to flash away as he was going to get caught up in the chains, and there's a wave stacking up here, Vedius.
Yes, there is. Specials roaming down as well. Hecarim doesn't have teleport, Kryze does, but this wave isn't a huge one.
Just the cannon. Minions are on their way, almost there. Shadow here as well, and Caedrel's just going to get sped up as they walk away. These two minions took a long time. Yeah, two custom minions were having a little bit of a dawdle.
The wave setup there was not optimal for XL. You could clearly see what they wanted to do. Carzzy had just been chunked out. He lost his flash as well. And I like the idea, but unfortunately, they were not able to get any kills or really force Carzzy away from the town. Now, the bright side is they will still secure themselves a Drake, so still overall win for XL, but execution not quite what they wanted.
I think XL will take this, though. They have been a little bit more proactive than they were yesterday against Rogue. I know saw a lot of people saying that they needed to do more in the early game.
So, in terms of what we can expect now, look at where the camps are for Shadow.
Yep.
He's up towards the top side of the map. I kind of want to, can we quickly pan over to the top lane, observers? I want to see what the top lane wave looks like. Okay. This is the slow push, Medic. It's that tower dive that we always talk about around that 7:30 mark. It will, of course, be a little bit later, but you can see that Orome is setting up for it. That wave is stacking up. Shadow will be on the top side of the map. What we have to think about as well is Humanoid going to push in mid and then they rotate up towards top? Because if Kryze now TPs and they set up for the dive, then forcing him back is going to force him to lose a lot of farm. But notice as well, Caedrel on the blue buff. This is also what we talked about. Because this blue buff is now available, the jungler is going to be on the top side of the map and he's going to be ready to counter. So it looks like for now, Mad are not going to go for that dive. It could have been an option, but it seems like that's not available and they don't feel confident executing that play.
Kryze deciding not to burn his teleport to get back into the lane as well. Does mean that he lost out on a cannon minion and a little bit of XP there, but there's a big enough way for him just to catch up. Riftherald has now spawned as well, and you can see that it's this mental warfare between the two teams where they're both just making forays, making these little pushes into the enemy and being like, hey, is it okay if I do this? Can I do this? Can I push here? Can I start the Riftherald safely? Because right now we do have push in mid. We've got Vladimir who can come down from top lane pretty easily, but here comes Orome charging in. Devastating charge has been used. They've got the Scuttle Crab for the extra movement speed as well, but now Kryze has caught out Shadow in the long range. Sleepy Trouble almost connects. Shadow has to flash, and the Riftherald will be secured by XL, you have to expect. Oh, I reset.
I'm not entirely sure if Shadow had vision on Torre. I think he did, because they had the Scuttle Crab, and they had the ward that you can see on the top side mid-brush. But trying to force that play, I think, was super risky, because Special actually had push in the mid lane, which is typically what you'd expect in an Orianna versus Zoe matchup. While the Orianna can trade well because of the long-range, very quick wave clear from Zoe, it's very difficult for Orianna to consistently get priority in this lane. On top of that, Kryze had also been pushing out that wave, because remember, he just cleared that big stack underneath his tower and was now first on the wave as well. On top of the fact that Torre roamed up means that XL had numbers advantage. So Shadow and Orome actually tried to take a 2 versus 4 there, and immediately were forced to flash away to safety. So I think the gamble wasn't worth it. It seemed like the information was there to realize that they couldn't make the play, yet they tried to make it happen anyway, and it ended up not working out in their favor. So Mad losing probably a little bit more than they would have liked, and XL pretty happy with how the early game is going so far.
Yeah, getting the Riftherald, 10 minutes in, or 9.5. There's another dragon in just 2 minutes time for them. I have had a little glance at itemization, and I like what I'm seeing from Patrik. Execution is calling early on the Varus, mitigates so much of the healing. Not only from the Yuumi, though, but also later on from the Hecarim. Spirit of Dread gives Hecarim a huge amount of healing and an AoE around him, and just being able to reduce anything that can bolster your opponents is such a good idea, in my opinion. And so I like the executioner's calling, especially since you can proc it from such long range. You've got the piercing arrow, you just fire it at them. You can be a screen away.
So before the Drake spawns, where we may actually end up seeing a fight, the thing I want to think about
Sounds so hopeful.
The thing I want to think about is what Hecarim can provide in this comp. Because the cool thing about Hecarim is his dive isn't conventional, because his ultimate goes through everything, right? So you don't necessarily have to find flanks. It can still be good, but because of how his ultimate works, you can actually fear an entire enemy team, and the longer you travel, the greater the influence of the fear. So champions like Varus, who is sitting on the backline, while he does have good peel, the actual dive ability of a Yuumi plus Hecarim is really scary. So as we... speaking of...
Yeah, Hecarim teleported in behind them, but Caedrel was able to get away, as was Patrik. I think the showstopper was used there. Caedrel going in with a Faith Breaker. Yuumi sitting on Orome means that the final chapter will come out, and now Caedrel getting chunked out. Does still have the Haymaker shield. Kryze trying to run in here, straight into 5 players by himself. Kryze, that was a little bit greedy. Pops the Hemo Plague, uses the Sanguine Pool as well, and will be able to escape. The tower went down to the Riftherald, and everyone gets out alive.
Well, ultimately, XL get what they wanted. You can see what Mad's plan was here to try and counter that engage, and I like the TP coming in from Orome, but the immediate disengage coming out from XL was the other thing that I wanted to talk about when it came to actually setting up that play. I'm not sure if we'll get a replay, because no one actually ended up dying off the back of that, but I think it's cool to identify what this champion can do when going up against XL's comp, because they're going to have a lot of poke. You know about the lethality build from Varus. Oh, thank you very much, observers. So let's actually highlight this. XL's plan was in the works from ever since they secured the Riftherald. They want to take this tower. They want to move Patrik and Torre around. They see the teleport, so they're like, okay, we got to get out of here very quickly. A good ultimate comes out from Carzzy, hitting onto all 3 members. The ultimate comes through, but then the Varus ultimate immediately follows by the tether coming out from Torre as well, locking Orome up. Now, if the Yuumi had joined him immediately, I think this could have been a huge one-team fight for Mad, but because of the gap between them, Yuumi couldn't jump on top of the horse, which meant that there was no follow-up engage. So XL were able to disengage while also securing themselves the tower, whereas Mad were just kind of left a little sad, I guess.
I really liked watching Caedrel use the showstopper to disengage himself. It's like, okay, I'm going to ult onto you, but I'm going to go in the opposite direction. Special here, not in the best of shapes. He was sitting on a couple of wards, going to try and get away. But here comes the true shot barrage. Special dodges it, but the Mystic Shot with a flash from Carzzy will find its mark, and now Caedrel's getting chased down towards the bottom side. Patrik, though, with the Chain of Corruption, will take out Shadow. Caedrel trying to trade here, but Orome is just too darn strong for him in the 1v1. And it's a 2-for-1 in favor of Mad Lions.
So, bit of a weird fight.
Very weird fight.
XL just kind of throwing away I mean, they still have a big advantage, but without having teleport available on the Vladimir, they just felt a little bit disjointed there. The fact that Special was just sitting in that brush, opening himself up to get caught out by the Mad Lions, definitely not the situation you want to find yourself in. And you can see he's just backing on a ward right now. Makes it very easy for Shadow to be like, well, okay, I guess I'll just go for the engage. You can see the Hecarim already in the river rotating up. He was a part of this fight, keeping Caedrel from getting involved. And while Special does dodge out from the ultimate, the Mystic Shot he can't dodge from Carzzy, so that kill ends up going down. Patrik sneaks into this brush and is able to just one-shot Shadow. And then Kaiser's able to dodge away to safety while Orome cleans up on the backside. So XL still gets something off the back of it, but yeah, questionable play there from Special. You can now see that he is pretty far behind Humanoid, a whole level down, 25 CS. And man, definitely not out of this game yet, even though they're 1.4k gold down.
The only benefit I saw was Kryze pushing in the side lane while all of that was happening. Means that he is about 20 CS up over Orome, who was more involved in the fight. That Vladimir still working on his way towards his first couple of items. So an 800 gold lead in the top lane for XL, about a 900 gold lead for Humanoid in the mid, almost up to 1,000. But Patrik, it's actually a sizable chunk of change ahead in the bottom lane, 1,100 gold ahead. Just on that Varus, all through the place. Now the Ocean Dragon has been started. Shadow jumping in, gets the kickback on Patrik. He uses the stopwatch just in time, and now Kryze has got him towards the backline. Orome, though, is going to jump in as well. Humanoid here with the rest of the team. Caedrel looking for the smite, but it's stolen away by Humanoid. The ball does all the work, and Humanoid's going to chase onto Caedrel. Once again, there's the kill. Kryze biting off towards the bottom side, but how do you get away from a horse and his pet cat? You don't. Orome gets his second kill of the game.
The horse-cat-robot combo comes into fruition, Medic. We finally get to see the teamfight prowess of this combo from Mad Lions. So at first I'm like, ooh, this seems a bit risky. You can see Ezreal sitting in the mid lane. A kind of haphazard engage comes out from the Lee Sin, but so many ults get thrown onto Shadow that he actually... Sure, he drops, but then you get to see the dive onto Patrik. Humanoid and Orome clean him up, and then Orome's just tanking up all this damage, continuing the chase, while Humanoid is left untouched. So he's just free to dish out all this damage right behind him. The Orianna can really get involved in the fight, while Special and Tori are just forced to disengage. And there's nothing they can do to protect the Varus when this much dive is coming onto his face. The Wombo combo is real, and the dive is a very serious threat, and XL right now don't have enough peel. So they've got to be careful about these upcoming fights, because Mad are only going to get stronger. And I want to see, is the Trinity Force done yet?
Patrik.
Orome finds Patrik. No ulti, though, so he's not going to be able to commit to that.
I mean, Patrik had to flash, though. Like, otherwise he's going to get forced underneath the tower, and you never know what's going to happen there. Rift Herald is taken down, but it is Trinity Force on its way for Orome.
Ooh, look. It's the Boots of Swiftness as well on Orome. Not only is this a great synergy item with Hecarim, but think about the number of slows that XL have on their comp as well. With the Karma, the Vladimir too, and Patrik's E, there are a lot of things that are reduced, which just make it that much more effective for the Hecarim as well. So the Trinity Force, when that does get done, the Death Dance is going to come through, and then once Death Dance is ready on the Hecarim, that's where this champion becomes very, very scary.
I just team him up with the Yuumi. Yuumi's got Mikhail's now as well, so if the Hecarim ever gets stunned, it's like, nope, not having any of that. You can see Carzzy is building himself up towards either a Trinity Force or an Iceborne Gauntlet. I think, personally, I wonder if an Iceborne Gauntlet would just be better this game. Like, let the Yuumi sit on Orome instead, and you just, like, you're peeling, shielding, getting a little bit more tanky in case you ever get jumped on. But Trinity Force is actually what it's going to be. He's got a longsword in his inventory. Rift Herald is put down in the mid lane as TP comes in. Shadow looking for the kick. The final chapter coming out, but Tori's going to cleanse it away. Showstopper used by Caedrel, but he's in the midst of 5. And Mad Lions have really come alive in this game. Gold pretty much even now, as Mad have just managed to find pick after pick after pick.
So it's cool that Mad are utilizing the Rift Herald to actually force fights, because every time XL is setting up for an objective, that's when Mad is actually going for these TP flanks. The problem is that they're still losing these objectives. They're not actually protecting them. So XL, the reason why they're still ahead in gold is they're actually 3 towers up. They're actually holding their own, and ooh, good ulti from Humanoid.
Yeah, Special tries to flash away from the shockwave, but Shadow is having none of it. 7-2 now, and this Yuumi Lee Sin combo is pretty devastating.
Yuumi times X combo, I feel, is generally pretty strong.
We do need a name for it. It's the Blind Cat, the Lee Sin Yuumi combo.
I don't think we need a name for everything.
The Cat Monk?
No.
Cat Monk.
No. No.
Cat Monk?
No.
Oh.
Why don't we just stick to Horse Cat Robot combo?
So
anyway.
Horse Cat Robo combo is there, but that doesn't include Lee Sin, which is the issue.
Yeah, that's fine. Not everyone gets a combo, medic. Not everyone gets to be Medi, right? Some people are just quick shot and ender, you know?
Quenda.
No.
That's why we don't do it.
Anyway,
Ender
getting
shot.
back to the game.
Ender shot is cool,
1 minute until the Mountain Drake spawns. This is obviously going to be the next big point of contention. Ultimates are all coming back up for Mad Lions. XL, we got to look at some of the itemization coming through from there. Looks like Special is working towards a death cap second, so he wants to get as much damage as possible. You can see that 2 lethality items have been completed for Patrik, and it's important to appreciate that with XL's comp, they want to try and start off the fight by utilizing poke. This composition is often difficult to play because it requires patience. So teams that maybe don't have that same synergy, maybe are a little eager to fight, can sometimes put themselves in positions that they don't want to be in. But on top of that, it's very easy for Mad to just start a fight.
Yeah.
You just run at them. You literally just run at them, which means that XL have to be very cautious about how they approach these objectives. And I think because it's the 3rd Drake of the game, because it's only a mountain, they actually concede it. It's not worth trying to overforce, and they don't have mid control right now, so I think they should just give it up. I think it's smart that they've invested vision up towards the top side, and they just want to try and defend these tier 2s for now.
The final chapter just lines it up for Shadow here. True Shot Barrage comes out, and what do you do against that? Like, he jumps forward, the shockwave's going to hit off towards the top side as well. Kryze trying to jump in, but he doesn't have any grievous wounds. Special coming in from the top lane as well. Caedrel's being forced away. Oof, Sleepy Trouble Bubble just goes wide on Humanoid, and now Mad Lions reset, regenerate all of their HP because Yuumi exists, and they can just go for this dragon.
Flash ultimate also on cooldown now for Kryze, and Shadow, he read that very well. It looks like that he was sitting on, he had Yuumi sitting on him, and he was like, I see you, you see me, are you going to do what I think you're about to? Yes, you're doing what I think you're about to do. Vladimir's dead. And so Shadow is able to flash out of that situation, and they get the Drake. Now, you have to bring into question what Kryze was up to there. He didn't need to be in the bot side jungle. He does end up face checking into Orome, who helps his AD carry secure another kill. But let's have a look back at this play. So you can see that, as you rightly said, there's very little that Patrik can do in this situation. He doesn't have flash. Torre's not in a position to offer peel, and he just kind of looks awkwardly from over the wall as Patrik gets obliterated. He sees Kryze coming towards him. The heal comes through from the Yuumi, and then he's able to flash out to safety. That Trouble Bubble just misses onto Humanoid. He still has the cleanse, though, so it would have just been a trade of summoner spells. But Mad really now coming alive. The early game definitely not going in their favor, but as they approach the mid game, as they've been able to force more of these fights, find more of these picks, you can see that they're really utilizing their comp to its max.
It's just the ability to lock someone down so effectively. It's controlling an entire zone of a teamfight. With Lee Sin, you don't even have to insect, because by the time you get to them, the final chapter's gone off, they've been rooted. You just walk behind them and say, sorry, nothing personal, kid, and then kick them into your team. You know, it's so easy for Shadow to be part of this combat. And I'm not taking anything away from how powerful, how strong he has been at finding these picks and finding these connections, but it becomes a lot easier when your enemies can only stand in one spot. Ignite down on Kryze here. He did, I believe, pop the Hemo play. Yeah, he did. He's going to get healed back up, but Orome will just heal himself off these minions, and Kryze has to back away.
Oof, this Hecarim is so strong right now. Not overwhelming in terms of the gold. Kryze is doing a pretty good job of staying even. Yes, he doesn't have the same kills, but he does have that farm advantage. TP can now come through from Carzzy to help clear out that wave. As an XL grouping up in the top river, looking for a pick.
Oh, Caedrel didn't quite land the face breaker there. Shadow was able to dash across the wall just in time, and that means that Caedrel is unable to find his mark. Humanoid's going to take this top tower. It'll be 3 turrets to 3. I was about to say in favor of Mad, but when they're even, it's not in favor of anyone.
Nope.
Although getting the extra goal for Mad right now is definitely in their advantage. Special here, forced away from his own jungle. And you can see Mad just slowly going through some of the routines you have to do when you're setting up for an objective like a Baron, or when you're just trying to deny the enemy vision around their own jungle.
I don't think they want to do Baron. I think that considering how much stronger their team fight comp is, I think they can just keep relying on this objective to force fights.
Yeah.
Humanoid needs to be a little careful here because they don't have push in mid and 4 members of XL are hovering around.
I mean, it feels like he's pretty safe, although...
Yeah, but Patrik has... Oh, I'm actually very surprised Patrik didn't ult there. Because at the very least, even if they force the TP out from Orome to try and protect, then I think that's good, and it can buy them a little bit more time. But in any case, everyone walks away. No deaths end up happening, no ultimates end up getting used. So yeah, now we're kind of resetting on the map. For now, Mad still have good vision control around the top side of the map. And I kind of want to check in with some of the itemization as well. Where are we at? What can we come to expect? Because a bunch of teams have obviously, or both teams have just gone back to spend their gold. Trinity Force has now come through for Carzzy. Trinity Force, as well as the Death Dance, very near completion for Orome. So that's going to be a crucial item. Death Cap is nearly done for Humanoid.
Yeah, 3 items compared to 1.5.
Can we actually flip over to the gold real quickly, observers? Oh, never mind. Ultimate just comes through.
Carzzy gets Makar's healed up. Humanoid trying to get a flank position off here, but there's the final chapter, and Torre has to cleanse himself out of it. The sleep's going to go down, and the showstopper will help them get Shadow, but here comes the shockwave. Kryze is now teleported into 4 players from Mad. You can see Patrik really can't do too much about it because Kryze is already so low. He gets hit with the Mystic Shot, and Mad are just healing up through all of this damage. It's now a 2v4. Special tries to do what he can, but only just gets out alive and doesn't survive for much longer. As I say the words, he goes down. Mad get 4 kills and only lose Shadow.
Convincing team fight from Mad, and I think this was the Mad Lions that many people expected coming into the first week of the LEC. The way in which they turn around this team fight is very well done. Patrik throws the ultimate out, looking for a pick onto Carzzy, gets the Mikhails to disengage from that one, and while they are able to burst out Shadow, that's just pretty much been the story of the team fights for XL. Killing Shadow, and then Humanoid turning things around to clean it up. So much damage coming out from the Orianna with a really good shockwave. Kryze ultimate's far too late and ends up getting picked off from Carzzy as well. Orome needs to do very little in this fight, doesn't even use his ultimate, as Humanoid and Carzzy are just tearing through the XL liner.
It's the Mad Lions that we saw in playoffs last split, right? We were wondering if they would come back with the same force, whether they'd improve, and I think they've shown us some strength through the top lane in this game. You know, Orome being 2-0-4 on the Hecarim, not just reverting to tanks, not just reverting to weak side of the map, but I'm very impressed with them so far in this game. Of course, it's only against XL, who have really struggled, and the Cat gets the first kill of the game. Showstopper used here in the mid lane, but Humanoid is so tanky with his Seraphs, with his Banshees. Eventually he falls. Not without taking a lot of health off the XL players beforehand.
Ends up being a 1-for-1 overall. Both mid laners go down. All of their summoners have been used. Mad will look to trade it for a tier 2 tower on the top lane. And notice what Shadow is doing right now. He's just hovering around the Drake. He's stalling, buying time because he doesn't want to allow XL to secure this mountain. Instead, they're going to look to reset, catch this wave in the top side. Mid will still be pushed in by Orome. And that means that Mad will be able to secure their 3rd Drake of the game. First death for Humanoid, obviously going to be frustrating from his perspective, but overall, worth it for Mad Lions.
Oh, definitely. I think Humanoid's sitting at about 13,000 gold right now to only 9,000 on Special, so he has a slight lead in that lane. And okay, so Special knows Carzzy's there. He hits the sleep. He's like, okay, I can do this. But he actually hits Orome, who's been waiting.
Exactly that, Medic. He gets baited there because he thinks that it's only a 2 versus 1. Turns out it's a 3 versus 1. Mad now pushing into the bot side of the map. Orianna is not with them, so Mad have to respect that. But at the same vein, Zoe is securing blue buff for herself. And XL, ever since that early game, I think things started to change when they tried to make that bot lane tower dive happen with the Rift Herald, and then Mad answered with a team fight. Ever since then, Mad have been very proactive in their willingness to go for these engages, saying, we feel confident enough, we feel strong enough, we think you don't have enough peel to keep your Varus alive. And as we're seeing from these fights, maybe Patrik does survive until the very end, but the rest of his team is nowhere to be seen.
And we'll see if XL can find a way back into it, because currently it's looking like Mad will even out their win-loss at 1-1 after losing to G2 yesterday, and XL will have a long road to climb. I did have a look over previous stats, and you know how we talk about, the first week is really important, getting a few wins under your belt is really important. I couldn't find a team that had gone 0-3 that had then made it to Worlds. Couldn't find one.
Hasn't Fnatic done that?
Oh, Fnatic have, yeah.
So
I don't know how I couldn't, obviously I just looked really badly.
Yeah.
Maybe it was 0-4 out of that? Anyway.
But even then, Fnatic also did that.
Oh, they did? What is going on with my brain? Okay, this is why I didn't want to use the stat, and I was like, oh, I'll just use it offhandedly and give myself some space.
You have to stat check with the stats team, whose job is to manage the
but
stats.
I felt that was a really unfair thing to ask them to do. Like, can you look at what our win-loss record was at the end of week 2?
Oh, medic. Bless you. Anyway, Baron now being started. This could very well be the final play of the game. We'll see if XL can make a miracle happen. The flank coming in from Kryze doesn't have his flash.
Baron down to 3,800 HP. Kryze trying to force out Carzzy, but Shadow is here and Kryze is dead. That was a lot quicker than perhaps he expected. Baron's resetting as Orome jumps forward, looking for the damage onto Caedrel. There's a true shot barrage as well, but the Haymaker shield will block some of it out. Orome is still pretty much full health, and they're going to turn back towards the Baron.
Cat on a horse, there's nothing you can do.
Cat on a horse. As Special tries to jump in, does land the sleep, but only onto Carzzy, and the Baron goes down, and now Orome is on the chase. Getting onto Torre, base breaker pulls him back for the devastating charge. Oh my goodness. It's just not fair. It's just not cricket. Caedrel's trying to do what he can, but he's gone down as well. It's a double for Carzzy. It's a sweep for Mad Lions, and it will be their first win in the LEC summer split.
Cat on a horse is just so strong.
Mew, mew, pew, pew.
Moves so fast, and the chase down and the damage. XL couldn't disengage quick enough with the Baron buff. Mad Lions are looking to end the game right now.
It started off slow for them. Losing to G2 yesterday, the early game today, and people may have thought that the Mad Lions we saw in spring playoffs was dead and buried, but they are back to life today with a convincing win over XL.
What a fun comp coming out from Mad Lions, showcasing that they can play against the Varus. There are means of dealing with it.